I took a some sort of survey writing course. It might have just been like creative writing 101 in my first year of college. And the professor was Anne Dannenberg, and she was very lovely. And we had an exercise that we did for, I think I had her for more than one course. I think I took all her courses. I really liked her a lot as a teacher. And whatever else she offered, she also took like she also taught another survey class, like women's lit. I took that class as well and read Charlotte Bronte and Virginia Woolf and who else? Yeah, I can't recall, but we had an exercise where we were meant to fill up 2 pages of a journal every day with words. Didn't matter what the words were, didn't matter if they were nonsensical or if they were prose or if they were journaling or if they were just scribbling. But we had to put 2 pages worth of ink on the paper every day for 3 or 4 or 5 months, whatever it was. And the notion there is that at some point along those 2 pages of that 10, 15, 20 minutes of forced writing, you eventually crack something open. And I believe in it because I saw it, experienced it, felt it happen time after time after time. And I was so surprised that I came to that paper completely blank with no idea whatsoever what might come out of me. And by the end of those 2 pages, I always landed on a little thing that I couldn't believe I came to when starting with nothing. Surely there's a name for this practice, for this concept. I don't know what it is, but it's one reason that a blank page staring back at me doesn't really seem like a daunting prospect, but rather an opportunity for discovery. So I'm on my morning commute back home from dropping my kids off at school, and every single day, virtually, 5 days a week, or sometimes six, sometimes seven, I do an hour-long stream in the spirit of this writing exercise, that this writing meditation, really, that Professor Anne Dannenberg gave me 20, 30 years ago. And today is especially not especially special. I'm especially blank. And that should be reason not to go on this particular stream public, because normally I do this daily exercise, this daily meditation to, whoa, you're coming right up behind me. To the Tokyo Reconcile homies and pals and friends who are on a private stream, a sort of you know, quieter, gentler, friendlier, less sort of out there forum. And that always is conducive of a little bit more, I don't know, slightly lower stakes, for lack of better words. It's not those guys and gals give me the permission to swing big and miss. And so it's a nice little, it's a nice forum that's different from this public one. But I was deliberating about doing like sometimes a public stream just to, I don't know, put something out into the ether, put something out there into the world. I've done like, yeah, I'm doing this once in a while in the public forum and open to, I suppose, wider critique and, wider like ridicule or wider just criticism. Like, what's he doing? What's he coming on to talk about something he has nothing to talk about? And this particular day, I was especially blank, and it was all the more reason that I ought to really only stream to my tight knit community so as, I don't know, not to embarrass myself if I just strike out swinging. But I was inspired by the idea that just a little morsel of an idea, not that this is really any higher stakes, but I was inspired by by my musical heroes to, go for it. For a chance at glory, you got to get out there and put yourself out there. So I'm putting myself out here for a moment, especially blank today because I poured out all my creativity in the last 48 hours on other stuff. And I'm drained. I don't have anything seemingly, I think, to more to say or to contribute to the ether. And I'm really depleted in a sort of creative stream of consciousness kind of way. I don't have there's not I need to like refill. But I thought this notion of like commitment was something I could just slightly riff on, even if only for just a second. But yeah, this has been going on for I saw some friends in the vinyl community who are celebrating 5 years and 4 years and some even much longer. I think I went back. I don't think I've been here very long. I think I've I've only been here for 2 or maybe coming up on 3. I think I'm like 2.5 years. And there's 630 some odd videos in the Tokyo Record Style archive, most of which, I guess, are live, but maybe it's a 50-50 ratio. And it seems like a recipe for disaster, pouring oneself out so completely. It seems like a recipe for burnout. And it feels a little bit like that. And again, going back to this writing meditation, it's like through the act of creation that you're almost reinvigorated. It's like the act itself refills you. So I didn't really want to Well, I'm not gonna say that I didn't really wanna come on because there's something admittedly exhibitionist about this space and having followers and having an opportunity to, like, broadcast out and have people tune in. But I kinda just couldn't I kind of felt like I couldn't really be bothered, and I would rather listen to some music and, just, pull the covers over my head and disappear into the woodwork. But I have this commitment that I'm telling myself that I have, and there's so many other things in my life that I can't seem to commit to. Um, like my health, for one. Like every day I'm saying I'm gonna walk, I'm gonna get those 5Ks, I'm gonna get a 5K walk in. I'm gonna do a, all veggie day. I'm gonna, do some great stretches. I'm gonna go to sleep early. I'm gonna make these like health decisions that I just put off. And I have a long list of responsibilities I gotta do that, whether it's like paperwork or just like things hanging over in the background, or it's house stuff around the house, clean out the shed, or uh, you know, plant that garden that I keep talking about that I've never seemed to start. But this is like kind of manageable because it's dead time otherwise. It's dead space otherwise. So I can kind of commit to it. So yeah, there's some there's something there. Like positioning oneself to like for success. I mean, I'm not talking about this being like a successful blog, whether in terms of like popularity or views or engagement or anything like that. I mean like success in the terms of like I've gotten through another day. I've hit the gym, if you will, the stream of consciousness gym. And the notion that, yeah, create the opportunities for you to be able to succeed. Create the context, create the the like atmosphere, the community, the all the variables that you don't really have to try that hard to succeed. It just happens automatically by virtue of you being there. That's sort of why this live stream can exist, because I have to make this drive, and I think I've honed this stream of consciousness not just since like I started my YouTube channel, but like from way, 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 way back. This is just like inner dialogue that's no longer inner. It's outer dialogue, which is, you know, oh, you open yourself up to the possibility of, shame, I guess. Anyway, commitment. Yeah, I was gonna riff on that for a second. The other things too, and then yeah, it's just like these streams kind of turned into tunnel signal sometimes cuts out. I need some water. All right, all right. These streams turn into a little bit of housekeeping, just kind of recapping what's going on in my world. I see some people chiming in. James Farley in the house. Mark Lassman in the house. What's up, buddies? Nice to see you guys. Mark Glassman, I made a post about Mark Glassman. He and his lovely visited Tokyo some months ago now, and I finally got around to writing a little story about our encounter. I really have a backlog, quite a big backlog. I refuse. Here's another thing. I ref I refused to post photos of the people I meet without fully, how to say, without making a good old college try effort to write an essay, a microscopic essay about them, a little musing about them, a short, very short story about my encounter or my time with them, or some kind of musing like I'm having right now. And I could easily just post the photos of the people I meet and the people I photograph on the streets of Tokyo. Yesterday or the day before, I met a really interesting character. He's kind of a Justin Brown, aka Drum Brownie, who's playing drums with Thundercat, who's visiting in Tokyo right now. I just met him randomly on the street. I would love to post about him right now because it's time sensitive, sort of, but it's not. But I want to go research about him and I want to listen to his music, and I don't want to like forego the opportunity to dive a little bit deeper. It's raining today. And yeah, there's like a whole bunch of these things. I I don't know if I'll give up on like AI, give up on like this molehill that I'm standing on about AI slop. But as an artist, I'm going to call myself an artist. I am an artist. I never in those terms, but I'm an artist, and I'm a hardworking commercial artist, and I actually should have an art show. I should have an exhibition soon. It's been a couple years since I've done anything, and my exhibiting nature has really. I used to exhibit my work quite a lot, and it became it became not a priority. It lost being a priority to me because I found other ways to do work and show work and exhibit, such that I don't need to like have shows anymore so much. But I should do one because it's also a good opportunity to just get some stuff out there and put oneself out there and sort of tie a bow on certain things so that you can start new ones. Um, but I see the YouTube thumbnail game. I don't even want to call it a game. I just see like the YouTube. I see how people are using AI, and they're foregoing a chance to create something of like pure creativity for a prompt, which I just see it, and it's kind of makes me cringe. It kind of just it drives me a little bit up the wall. I see it, and people might argue, no, but it is creative, and you have to be a creative prompt writer, and you have to know how to finagle it, and you're gonna get left behind if you don't, employ it more and use it more. And I'm almost like, so be it. I just don't. I I think it's gonna rob humanity of something very integral and core to our humanity. So certainly I use AI for lots of things, but I don't use it for like pure creative acts, precious creative acts. I use it for dumb things that I can't be bothered to do. That's really driving me up the wall when I see so much of it out there. And I know like some people are better at it than others, but I just see it and I think I refuse. I'm never, but maybe I will. Maybe I'll eventually like capitulate and succumb to making all my stuff with, somebody else's collective language, and I'll be okay with it, but I don't think I will be. I don't think it's right, and I don't dig on it, and it's not I think it's supremely uncool. It's supremely, unoriginal, and I value originality, or at least, a swing at originality. An effort at originality. Okay, where was I going with that? Yeah, so I did a camera and I found a really fun international market that I had a gag hanging out at. I bought some Indian samosas, some fried dumplings. They were really, really tasty with like potato and veggie filled dumplings with like this really crispy breaded samosas. You guys know samosas. And then I bought a giant bag of like cumin for like $5 and a giant bag of these huge tortillas. And I was like, oh man, I got to come here more often. That was really fun. And I just got bombarded by smells and it was amazing. It was really cool. An assault of the senses. And I also made a little video on my way home. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to go watch it. I put out a video last night, just a little expose of a record store. It's really coming down outside, by the way. It's really raining hard here in Tokyo. And I got a few other things in the pipeline, actually quite a lot of things in the pipeline. I need like to freeze the world for a moment so I can get some things done. But I'm just kind of like too on the go. One thing that I can't seem to get out of my head, and it seems like a very unlikely thing that I would want a bellyache about, but and I admit it's a little bit of a contrarian take, a contrarian hot take, but I can't stop like being irked by it. And that is the critique of Rick Beato's take on the New York Times journalists who listed up the top 30 top 30 living American songwriters. I don't care about who's ranked, who's on the list or who's not on the list. This is not about that. And furthermore, I don't think the conversation about it should be anything but civil and respectful. And Rick Beato with his take is a little bit, he gets demerit points purely for being slightly disrespectful. But the idea of what he's saying and the thing that people picked apart is the thing that I have a beef with. What Rick Beato claimed is that nobody on this panel of selectors were music people. They were all journalism and literary people, and there was nobody, at least it seemed, that had a music background in the sense that they either studied music or they were musicians or that they were anything beyond music appreciators. And I just saw the like vinyl community at large coming to their defense and saying that they needn't be musical academics or they needn't be uh, musicians to have strong opinions about songwriting. Anybody, everybody who loves music can have an opinion about the greatest songwriters. And how dare Rick Beato suggest that because these people don't have the proper credentials, that they don't have a say in who the best songwriters are. And I don't completely disagree with Rick Beato. And I think that is for did I talk about this? I may have talked about this already because I've been thinking about it like nonstop. I can't stop thinking about it. And what it's by okay, so Rick Beato was a little bit of a dick about it because he said, hey, these people are fucking, I looked them up and he got accused of like degree shaming them and follower subscriber shaming them. And actually he did do a little bit of that, but I don't think he was unjustified completely. And especially flexing the music credentials because we're talking about songwriting. We're not talking about like guitar virtuosity or drum, the best drummers. We're talking about the craft of songwriting, which requires an understanding of, the tenets of like a hero's journey in a literary sense. You have to understand like script writing to make a play. You have to understand like the three-act structure and the theory of why a bridge works. For you to make like a really um informed opinion about the best of songwriting. And I don't doubt that like most people know like what a bridge is or what an A part and a B part is, but there's some extra appreciation to be had and to be knowledgeable about by either being a musician and getting into songs. It's sort of like if you were a carpenter, anybody can build a simple chair, but if you want a sturdy chair, you have to know the fundamentals of carpentry. If you want to build a beautiful chair, not only do you have to know the fundamentals of carpentry, you have to know joinery and geometry and you know sensibilities about stuff. And just because you like a nice chair doesn't mean that you can really know everything that there is to know about furniture design. Does that make sense? So I kind of and all furthermore, and this is the weird part, is that it kind of celebrates this notion that like a musicologist, a music theory degree holding person's opinion is equal to a layman's, which is the arguments that we're having in political discourse and pop culture in general. We're celebrating ignorance. we're celebrating musical ignorance. And it's a hard pill to swallow to call it ignorance because I mean, I don't know about this stuff. I'm ignorant about a lot of it, but for you to say that you've got your head around music theory as a layman better than somebody who, has a master's or PhD in it is a little bit laughable. And I appreciate the idea that sometimes these people who are so steeped in academia, they're a little bit they're out sometimes they're out of touch. And they can't see the forest for the trees, or can't see the trees for the forest. Which is it? Can't see the forest for the trees. Okay. So that was just like it's just bugging me out, especially the ignorance part. Yeah, my uninformed opinion is just as valid as his. Well, sort of. What do you think? Am I way off base here? I mean, this is a perfect example of how these academics are a little bit oblivious to they're so like their heads are so far up their asses they can't fucking have a normal conversation, a normal respectful conversation because, you know, they've got these giant fucking egos. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of bugging me. I mean, if I was a PhD holding music, professor of music, which I think he basically is. And to say that, a layman's opinion about songwriting is equal to his or equal to anybody's, forget that it's him and that he's, insufferable to some people online, it's just like, I don't like that way of thinking. I mean, if you study something and you've put in your 10,000 hours and you become, I mean, I just see I see people, it's a lot of double standards out there. Okay. Okay. I don't know if I really broke any chestnuts open on this particular live stream or any value gained from doing it to the wider audience, but there you go. I swung. I swung at the fences. Fly out. What do we call it? Fly ball out. I hit it to deep center, but I ultimately was called out. Maybe not even deep center. Maybe it was like an infield fly. Yeah, I call that an infield fly. But hey, I got another chance, another at bat. I still get to add to my stats. Oh, there's a nice little mom and dad here, or mom and son, that they just held hands. It was sweet. He looks like he's too old to be holding hands with his mom, but he still loves his mom. Those moments are so precious. Okay, well, thanks for hanging out, Mark and James, and whoever else is out there watching. If you want to leave a comment or hit the like button or anything like that, I'd most appreciate it. And go watch my last video, Ultra Shibuya, really cool record shop in Shibuya. Go follow me on Instagram if you're not already, Tokyo Record Style on Instagram. You can go see Harry of Harry's Music Room. He's the latest post on there, and my friend Toti is coming up next. And if you're inclined to engage more about, I don't know, these just sort of like semi-philosophical musings. We have a place where we kind of get heady about music a little bit and just about whatever. You can reach out to me and I can get you linked up on that. And if you want a sticker, a Tokyo Record Style sticker, I don't have one right here, then send me a DM and I'll put one in the mail for you. And be on the lookout for more stuff. And thanks to the homies who are always hanging out. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next stream. Okay. Peace. Peace.